Hi guys, this is Anderson from New Wave of Traditional Heavy Metal Full Albums, and I'm back with a new episode of the Metal Mailbox. This time we're focusing on the Canadian label Temple of Mystery Records. They are from Quebec and they are owned by a good friend of mine, Annick Giroux. She's also the lead singer of the band Cauchemar. She's an absolutely great person and she sent me some of their releases. Let's start talking about one album that made my top 20 of 2020. I think it was either third or fourth position, I'm not sure. And I'm talking about Possessed Steel Adris. This is a conceptual album, and if you look at the booklet, it looks like a fantasy book. You have some context about the history, and you have also a map, just like what you have on fantasy books. It reminds me a lot of the maps you can see on Lord of the Rings and Silmarillion and some of the other books. Then you have the lyrics, and it's a great album. Like, I rank it on my top 20, so very high. And I realized that like 25% or even more of my top 20 were epic heavy metal albums. Megaton's Word or Eternal Champion, bands like Possessed Steel and White Magician. What I'm trying to say that we are very well served of epic heavy metal bands nowadays, and Possessed Steel is one of the best of them. So Possessed Steel Adris, if you haven't checked, you should check it soon. When bands or labels send me stuff, I feel very happy. Okay, of course, because I'm getting some great albums, but also because most of the time they send me like some messages saying that how they appreciate the work I do on the channel. So I have here a message from Annick saying thank you so much for helping promoting heavy metal to the death. And this is a picture of Possessed Steel, the guys in the band. So thank you so much, Annick. She also sent me other albums, and this next one is also on my top 20. I can't remember if it's like 13 or it's somewhere up there on my top 20. And I'm talking about Freeways, True Bearings. This is an example of album that sounds just like the cover. You have an RV and in a cold and frozen road, and this is what you can expect from Freeways. They play like kind of hard rock influenced by Thin Lizzy, Blue Oyster Cult. They also have their own style, and this is a great band. I knew them when they released their demo called Cold Front, and this is their first full length called True Bearings. If you haven't checked it yet, you should do it. If you like the bands I mentioned, if you like hard rock, and even to some extent bands like Hallas from Sweden that play also this 70s infused hard rock. So if you like Hallas, you are going to like Freeways. It's a bit more accessible compared to Hallas, but this is not a bad thing on my book. So Freeways, True Bearings.
When you were young
I knew about Annick before because I had already published some albums by Temple of Mystery Records on the channel. But the first time I was in contact with her was when she was a guest on my show at Gimme Metal. My show was called Back to Metal and it's now inactive for the time being. But she was there to talk about Canadian heavy metal. And Temple of Mystery Records had just put out a compilation called Trapped Under Ice, the new face of Canadian heavy metal. And she was on my show to talk about this compilation and to play the music that's available on this CD. And it's fantastic because Canada has one of the strongest scenes in the new wave of traditional heavy metal at this time. They had great bands and some of them are featured here, like Traveler, and you have Metallian, Koshmar, the band that Annick sings for. You have also bands from more extreme styles of metal like Acute Burial, Barrow White, they are like a Venom kind of band. You have Black Rat, but you also have some other bands from the new wave of traditional heavy metal like Starlight Ritual, Spell, Emblem, and Freeways that I already mentioned here. So this is Trapped Under Ice, the new face of Canadian heavy metal. I never heard from anyone that doom metal was not my strongest suit. I always prefer my heavy metal to be more fast and straight to the point. Aside from Candlemas, I never went too deep into doom metal. But the situation has been changed in the last few years and I'm trying to listen more to this style. And one of the bands I was recommended when I started doing this was Pagan Altar. They were recommended to me by Sarah from Smolder and Banger TV. They were involved in the new wave of British heavy metal scene, but their sound has a lot of doom metal as well. We were at Keep It True when Sarah recommended me them, and Temple of Mystery Records had just reissued 2 of their albums. I asked Sarah which one should I buy, and she told me to buy this one. It's Lords of Hypocrisy by Pagan Altar. I bought this at Keep It True 2019. When I went home, I listened to it. I liked it immediately. The vocals are a hit or miss, but I really like unusual vocals, especially when they fit the music like they do here. So I really liked Lords of Hypocrisy. I started seeking other albums by Pagan Altar, and one of them specifically became my favorite. I'm talking about Mythical and Magical. So when I was talking to Annick and she told me she was going to send me Possessed Steel, Freeways, and the compilation, I asked her, could you please include Pagan Altar, Mythical and Magical? She said, okay, I can. Thank you so much for this, Annick. But she surprised me because when I opened the package, I found Pagan Altar, Judgment of the Dead. This is their first album. It's also titled Volume 1 in another versions, but it's the same album. I was quite confused by this, but I did my research and they are the same album. I also got Mythical and Magical, my favorite one. If you don't know Pagan Altar yet and you want to start somewhere, I would recommend you to start here. The Time Lord EP, and their latest album, The Room of Shadows. So now I have the full main discography of Pagan Altar, all thanks to Annick. And this is a band that they deserve much more recognition than they have. I think that if they had released an album during the new wave of British heavy metal years, they would get much more respect from heavy metal fans. They are really respected on the underground, but aside from that, I don't see many people talking about them, and they really should, because it's a great band and it's an influence for so many bands out there. The singer Terry Jones passed away a few years ago, so this video is also dedicated to him. This is it, guys. These were the things I got from Temple of Mystery Records. I hope you guys liked the video. If you do, please subscribe to the channel, because a lot of people that watch the videos are not subscribed to the channel, and I would really like to have 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and that would be very nice. If you are already subscribed, like and comment the video so more people will see it. Thank you so much for everything, and thank you so much, Annick, for sending these albums. If you like these albums and you are from Canada, USA, North America, you can find them at the Temple of Mystery website. It's on the description. If you are from Europe, I know that you can find some of these albums here as well. Some of the trusted sellers and labels that also work as distros, you can find these albums there. Like I always say, if you like it, buy the album.